Hello, everybody. So, an apology of sorts is needed. Because I'm sure as you guys have noticed, I have not been posting so far this week, and that is because, Keith surprised me. He, basically how they do it at his do time off at his work is they have like so many days that they have to take off and that aren't like sick leave or anything like that. So he apparently had 3 days coming up, and so he decided to surprise me and not tell me that he had 3 days off and that he decided to take them this week. So Monday through Wednesday, he was home. Now, that ended up being a nice thing. He also surprised me. So I had asked him if he could give me a little bit of money because I was planning on doing my usual walk down to the doctor's because I need to get my blood drawn to double check, make sure everything was okay, get my blood pressure taken, and that kind of thing. And so basically, like, he gave me some money, but then he surprised me. He was like, he suggested, oh, why don't we take the bus? Because apparently I'm pointing the wrong way. It's actually, you go out this way, and because that's, like, we're, like, our view is at the back of the building, if that makes sense. So the front of the building is the other way. So once you go out, you go down this little ramp, and you have a choice of going left, which takes you onto Queen Street, or you can go right, and that has less places to sit down, but also can eventually get you to High Street, which is the main street of Exeter. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just, I was thinking, oh, I'll just go walk like I usually do. Go walk down there, and then I get a little money, and I can stop off and get something to eat. And afterwards, and he was like, well, you want to get something to eat, why don't we go together? And so I was still thinking, okay, we'll stop off at High Street, get something to eat together, walk back home. No. So, one of our favorite restaurants, one of the restaurants that we usually go to when his mom wants to go out and have lunch with us, we go to this place called Toby, and I think it's also called The Carvery. I don't know if that's all the name, if it's Toby the Carvery, or if it's separate, but or if the Carvery is what it is. But so we usually go there when his mom wants to mail when his mom wants to pick us up and take us out to lunch. And So it was like, oh, okay, that'll work, you know. And so he had gotten a coupon or discount code. And so he had totally planned on surprising me. And we were riding the bus. So we got back on the bus after I got done the doctor's. And we started riding. He wasn't telling me where we were going. And I was like, I was recognizing some signs, highway signs and stuff like that. And so I was like, I wonder if, and sure enough, the bus stopped, we got out, and we were almost right across the street from the Toby Carvery. So we crossed the street, walked up the little driveway area, got in, sat down, had food, and if y'all ever come to Exeter for any reason, go to this place, Toby or the Carvery, because they have, it's like those buffet style restaurants they kind of used to have in the United States. I don't know if they have them so much anymore, but like you go in, you get in line, usually have like a couple of guys, and they usually have 4 different types of meat, ranging from beef to lamb to turkey to whatever. And you can pick what meat you want, and they'll usually give you I forget what they call it, but it's this giant bread roll. It's not really a roll, but it's really super good and super flaky. Kind of reminds me of a croissant, but it's not a croissant. It's like bigger than a croissant. Anyway, Yorkshire pudding, that's what they call it. And, I remember the first time we went there, and the dude asked me if I wanted one. I had to be told what it was, because I was like, pudding, It's like we're just having our main meal, Surely that comes with dessert. And it's like, it's the bread. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so then they give you whatever you ask for. They carve you off some of it, some of whatever meat you ask for, and then you go down and then you serve yourself. And they have like different kinds of vegetables and sides. They have really good macaroni and cheese, very tasty. They have mashed potatoes, and then they usually have like about 3 different choices with vegetables. And I know potatoes a vegetable, but you know what I mean. But, and then after that, you can go off to this other little cart, and it has all your sauces and all your condiments and your gravy, which, yes, I love me some gravy. So we got that. We sat down to eat, and it was really neat. And then we came home and did a whole lot of nothing the rest of the. That's the other thing. We haven't really, we didn't really do a whole lot of anything the last 2 days. Although, on Monday, I have to say, I think I remember mentioning to you guys our shower hose broke. Well, Monday, Keith came Keith came in from, he went out to do some shopping, and he came in and he had another shower. So Monday he got that fixed. So that's why my hair is slightly wet. And I was able to take, I've been like sponge bathing in the sink, where you soap up a washcloth and do the thing and wash the hair in the sink. But it was so nice to be able to take an actual real shower. I really severely miss that. But now I have to go in and clean the bathroom, the shower, because it got really dirty, because for about a week there we had to leave until Keith got what he needed in order to replace the shower hose and head. We had to leave the water dripping, and of course it was dirty water, and so, stagnant. Thankfully it didn't leak onto the floor or anything, but yeah, it was still kind of, there's a mess in there for me to clean up at some point, which, I should do at some point, but yeah, so that's the positive side, the two positive things that happened. Also, I discovered a new way of getting to the doctors that does not involve walking. And I don't mind walking so much. But I appear to have picked up another cold or something, so I was having a bit of trouble breathing. I had to stop to rest a couple of times and stuff. And it's hard because, some places extra are great. You can't go, if you're on High Street, there's benches and stuff set up all along there. But if you go other places and other parts of Exeter, it's not so well benched, if that makes sense. So, and again, some places don't need it, and, I've gotten to the point where it's if I'm going, like I said, there's two ways of going and getting to High Street, and one of those ways is a lot more nature-y, if that makes sense. Passes by a park and all that, but there is a place to sit and wait for a bus to come. So usually if I'm going that way, I'll walk, sit at the bus stop for a while, and then keep going and stuff. And so, yeah. And yeah, I do need to walk a bit more often, but it's also really hard because we are in the rainy season right now. It's Exeter doesn't really snow. There's not normally any ice. There's nothing like that, but it can be very rainy, especially around this time of the year. And so it's easy to just get in I don't want to go out in the rain, especially since it's cold rain. And when Keith and I were walking back, we got dropped off on High Street, because that's the main place where the buses tend to congregate and pick up people and stuff. And so we turned on down to Queen Street and walked walk down home, and there's plenty of places to stop, but a lot of the benches are made of metal. Or one place I really like sitting is there's uh, I believe it's called the Victoria and Albert British Museum. And we've been in there, and it's really fun. It's a nice museum, but like there, and I like the place that they have for people to sit because it's not a bench, it's like a stone. It's part of the building and it's stone, and it's just at perfect sitting level so you can sit there for a while. But the problem is, with the weather being the way it is, it's cold. So it's like I'm sitting on the bench and I'm like, I don't know what's worse. Keeping walking, which also keep in mind, I hadn't taken any ibuprofen because, I want, like, I don't know if that affects the, blood results, It's like I want it to be clear, I want it to be as pure as possible. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't even know if that's a thing. If you can mess it up. But I've been told in the past to not take any ibuprofen or anything like that before getting my blood drawn. And so I don't. And so, as a result, when we're walking back, I'm like really sore and starting to feel it. And so I was like, hey, Keith, put ibuprofen on the shopping list. And then he went out later after we got back home and he got me two containers of ibuprofen. And so I was like, yay, thank you. He's a great husband. He is very, very awesome. Oh, I should probably also tell you a little bit of an update. Do you guys remember me posting video, and I don't remember what it was called. Something about like writing for forums is hard sometimes or something like that. Yeah, well, the one player I was talking about is still doing his thing, is still kind of being a butt sometimes, and it's just like, oh, we need to do this, and oh, we need to do this, but like the other player that I had been posting with an awful lot, and that had been we've been commiserating about this whole other player situation. Yeah, this other player posted something which kind of shocked me. So, a little explanation is needed. So, right now in the Marvel Heroes RPG forum, we're currently going through a time where Lilith, who I'm not entirely sure of her background. I'm not sure if it's the same Lilith who was the first wife of Adam according to myth and everything and legend, or if it's a different Lilith. Um, all I know is that she is demonic. She has powers to mind control people, and we are finally. It's taken a while, but we're finally to the point. So Lilith basically has taken over a bunch of places, and she's mind controlled a bunch of heroes, bunch of people who normally fight for the side of good to do her dirty work. And so we're talking about that. Well, I'd say we. I wasn't really. I was just kind of scrolling through at times, and because sometimes there can be a lot of discussion. Sometimes there's like, there's like nobody out in the forums. But it was one of those times where there was a lot of people on the forums, and they were talking about next steps. They were talking about finally getting, setting up the rescue teams. Because there are people who are captured, who are being held in different places. And so we're finally at the point where we can start talking about, okay, who's gonna save people, who's gonna, gonna do all that stuff. And so I was just talking to uh, another lady, another gal who posts on the forum, and she has a couple characters who my characters have interacted with, and she has Agatha Harkness. And considering that I now have watched WandaVision and the sequel to that, where Agatha and her fellow witches go down the witch's road, I've been having this other gal try to talk me into going down the witch's road because I have no C, an original character who is a witch and who is. She basically needs to find her community. She needs to find other witches. She needs to, it's like she was mentored, but she is like away from her home and had to move away due to safety issues, that kind of stuff. And so she's in New York, and she owns and runs a new age type shop. She sells all this stuff. She sells like crystals, spell ingredients, that kind of books, that kind of stuff. And so I've done a couple of threads with her, but they've been mostly more shop threads than other threads. And also, this is a character who I've kind of brought over from the hero's side. She was one of my favorite characters. She was actually one of the first characters I came up with on Heroes. Her name there was Ireland Chase. And on Marvel, her name is Ireland McAvoy, which is, yes, a nod to the actor who plays. I'm not sure if he's still playing him, but the actor who plays and or played the young version of Charles Xavier. And so I don't know, it's kind of fun. So I got talked into it, but I was just like, I was telling this other player, the gal, how I felt, and that I was feeling a little bit left out, and she was like, come down the witch's road. We're going to band together and stop Lilith, and Agatha will be there. Probably Wanda will be there. You know, and the person who did the summoning spell is Magician, who is another OC, who is a mutant, and who has interacted with a couple of my other characters. So I was like, oh yes, I will definitely join. And I had to ask, I know there's probably going to be danger on the road, but just promise me that my gal won't die. Because, like I said, I brought her back from the dead. I mean, she wasn't dead on Heroes. She had just basically, because of this one guy who was one player who played recurring villain on that site and decided that all mutants needed to die, she basically gave up her life, gave up her shop, got married, and moved to, I want to say Morocco? I'm not entirely sure. But she moved out, and she was basically trying to live a normal life, and which I have to admit kind of sucked, because I really enjoyed playing Ireland and her powers. And and her power in this on this site is that she can get glimpses of, like, if she touches or if she's fighting another person, or if that person has power, she can touch them and, like, kind of get glimpses of their ability. Like, if the person can start fires, she will see, like, a building on fire or something like that. And so, like, I found it kind of interesting. And the interesting thing is, like, OCs on Heroes were allowed to be a bit more powerful, but in Marvel, OCs kind of have to be little power, And so, but yeah, so it's like I didn't want to lose her again. So, Jade, the gal who I was talking to, was like, I promise nothing's gonna happen to her. Agatha will watch out for her. She'll be fine. It'll teach her more about her power and everything. And so I was like, okay. So we're all gathering together. I decided to join this thread. Well, it was funny because I had been talking to this other player who really doesn't like the direction a lot of things go on the site, and he really doesn't like that other other player who tries to kind of be in charge of all big plots. And they are like all big plots. There's never anything that's like, let's just have this group tackling something small. It's always, world is in chaos, kind of thing. And so, and like, that's fine. If that's kind of thread you like, if that's what you want to go for, do it. But just know that not everyone is going to want to do that. And also, the whole Lilith thing, like, I've talked to other players and they've just been like, this is starting to drag. It's because it's one of those where it's like, where it's real tempting to keep adding on and keep being like, oh, and then this can happen, and then this can happen. And it's like, okay, let's move on. Let's do something else. And so it's just kind of like, you know. But again, I've kind of found my way of dealing with it. And a lot of the way I deal with it is I keep my ear to the ground for society and try to keep up to date on like what's being talked about. But I also am like not, I don't immediately jump in and volunteer to join threads and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the, and so, but yeah, so I was talking to this one player who I'm pretty friendly with, who I've been pretty friendly with, and also talking to this one female player who's talking me into, having Ireland, my OC, go on the Witch's Road. And the thing that made me really want to sign up was the fact that, a bunch of people, like I was talking to other people, because she was like, ask these people, because they're also in the thread, and see what they say. And so I was talking to them, and they were like, yeah, join, we're going after Lilith. And so I was like, yes, sign me up. Finally, somebody's gonna do something. And like I said, it'll take a while because we have to go on the road first, and that'll take a bit. But hopefully, Ireland will come out of there being a bit more confident in her power and learning a bit more about how our power works and all that. And so, but yeah. And so then I was talking to my friend on site, and he was like, no, don't join, don't do it, Ireland will turn up evil. And it's like, no, dude, I don't think you understand what's I was trying to explain to him what was going on. And he was just so, oh, sorry guys, that's just a message I got. Vodafone, which is the phone company that we have over here, that Keith and I have our phones through, send messages every once in a while. So, but yeah, so he was just like, he was trying to convince me not to do it. And I'm like, but we had just been talking about the fact that, I feel like there's no other, like I was getting discouraged because I felt like I couldn't be involved in a lot of these threads that are going on because, according to what I've been told, Lilith taking over is inevitable, and if we chose to fight, we would have a chance, we would have to either die or be taken over, be corrupted and stuff. And I was like, I don't want any of my gals to do that. And so eventually I was like, so this is exciting to me, because this is like, ooh, I have goop up his shirt. I'm gonna change that. But, and so it was like, but this is exciting because it means that this Lilith being in charge isn't going to keep going on and on and on and on and on until we're all tired of it. So I was excited. And then, like I said, I was paying attention to the Discord, and my friend starts posting about how these heroes aren't really heroes because they're doing bad things. Now, keep in mind that they're under mind control, that they're being manipulated, that they literally have no choice in what they're doing. And that's probably a part of, I'm assuming, part, if not the whole, of Lilith's plan, you know. And so she's just like, you know, kind of the you know, I'm going to manipulate and mind control these people into doing so that way when they break out of when they're eventually freed from the mind control, or Lilith gets bored and decides to move on somewhere else, that she won't get blamed for it, that it'll be, you know, that'll be the people who actually did the stuff. And it's like, on the one hand, I get what my friend is saying. I do understand, you know, consequences and all that. And yeah, they should be facing consequences, but so many people were like, but he was like, to the extent where he was like, you know, these heroes should just leave or not exist anymore. And I'm like, no. It's like, you should, you know. I mean, I can kind of understand Dante's point of view if these heroes were doing it of their own accord, or if they were doing it because they themselves thought it was the right action to take. But they're not. It's like most of them, if not all of them, are under mind control right now. They're being forced to do these things. They can't stop her right now, because apparently she's that powerful. And again, not entirely sure how that works, but yeah, apparently she's like that powerful that she is basically, you know, telling people, you know, giving people instructions mentally, and not leaving them any choice in the matter. And, like, I don't know, like, I haven't really, and that's on me, I haven't really been paying attention to a lot of the threads. And that's my bad because, like, I've been listening to my friend, and my friend has been saying, oh, this is bad, this is not good, this is, again, and it ties into this other player who seems to want to be in charge of all the plots and everything and stuff. And it's just like, after a while, it just kind of becomes I'm just gonna ignore it. Come back when things need to get put right again or whatever, or like some other players have been doing. They've been doing little threads here and there where like heroes are fighting in their own way and trying to help out in like small ways, kind of like, but trying to go under Lilith's radar so she doesn't go, another minute, But, yeah, so anyway, but yeah, he was just going on and on in the Discord about, these heroes should just go away and not come back, and, they reached the point of no return and stuff, and I'm like, it's not their fault, though. And again, yeah, I can see having a discussion about that, because it's like, because in the real world, you have to take accountability for your own actions and stuff. And you can't just be like, oh, well, this person said this or whatever. Or, I was told to do it. Or like the very old saying, the devil made me do it, And it's like, no. And it's like, I hate to say this, but like the devil may whisper in your ear, but you still chose to do the thing. That was bad, So that's just what I'm saying, And so I literally haven't talked to this friend of mine since then because I don't really know what to say. I did end up apologizing to, because a while back, I may mention this in my previous video, but a while back, I, was trying to talk to our mod, our one active mod on the site, and was telling him some of the issues, and like, as far as I'm aware, nothing happened, but I don't know if nothing happened. I don't know if this mod talked to this player. I don't know what happened exactly. But after my friend said what he said on the forum about these heroes not existing, not deserving to exist, I was like, it took me like a day or so because I had to process a lot of stuff, but I was like, hey, mod, I apologize for, and thankfully mod replayed back almost right away and was like, hey, no worries, and it's like, because, like, I don't want to, and I feel, I don't know if I'm right, but I almost feel like this one player who I've been friends with is trying to isolate me. I mean, it got to the point where he's apparently making his own Marvel site. And he told me that, that he was going to invite only like 2 or 3 other people and stuff. And I'm like, and at the time I was like, okay, that's understandable if you feel like you need to do that, kind of stuff. I was talking to Keith about it. I was going, I don't know if I'll join this new site when it gets up all the way or what, but I'm thinking about it. And so, one thing I have to say I love about Keith is that he leaves, like, a lot of that stuff up to me. Like, he'll give me advice, and he'll be like, or he'll give his opinion on something, he'll be like, I don't know, But, he'll basically leave it up to me. He'll be like, it's your decision. You make it, you choose what feels right to you. And so I was like, okay. But yeah, as soon as my friend said that, I was like, whoa. Like, that is completely different from anything he said before. And the fact that, he's in the process of making a totally new Marvel site where he'll only invite a few people. It's like, so you want to be like this other player and be in charge of all the plots and everything, because, like, the thing about this friend of mine is he's like the opposite. Like, sometimes the issue we have on the Marvel site is that people, including this guy who seems to want to be in charge of a lot of plots, thinks that we need to follow the comics. Like, we have to do the comic stories. Like, we can't branch off from that. Like, I'm trying, like, I've seen Singularity, who had, like, a comic series, and it's like she's already come into this world once, and she's now come back again, and she's just trying to make friends. She's trying to fit in. She's trying to find things that she can fight for and help out with and all that. And so I've been talking to a couple other players who have been like, oh, hey, mention her. And those other players have been like, oh, that would work, and yeah, we would love that, and so it's making me feel better because I'm not just, like, lately I just feel like I have just been kind of staying away from the site. Like, I haven't even been posting as much as I normally do because I've been taking my friend's side because that's what you do. You know, you support your friends and you take care of, and when they're going through a hard time, you support them. And at least that's what I've always been trained to do and learned how to do, and the way I was raised and all that. And so, and now I'm like looking at my friend and going, I didn't know you felt this way about this, and where is this coming from? And it's like, why do you want to make a brand new site and basically take this other player's spot, but on your site, where you get to be in charge and dictate what happens and all that? And it's like, that's not what I want. So I'm just kind of like, So again, and like I said, I haven't said anything to my friend yet. I'm not entirely sure what to say. But anyway, so I don't know. So we'll see. But in the meantime, things are going along a little bit better. I'm getting a bit more involved in threads and plots and stuff like that. And yeah, so anyway, just keep thinking about me, sending good thoughts, because the drama's not over yet. I have a feeling. And yeah, and one way or another, I'm probably gonna have a talk with my friend about things and be like, what is going on? Why are you acting like this? This is not the you I know, and stuff. And so, but yeah, but in the meantime, I'm home, I'm excited, and I was also thinking, number one, we're getting close to finish out the video we are getting close to the 13th, which is, I've already posted on the Marvel has like a break time channel where you post if you're not going to be able to be on for a while. Say, I'm going to be off for at least a day when Scarlet Hollow episode 5 drops. And so, and I was also wondering, would you guys like me to do like a live of me playing the game? I mean, it's on a Friday, I think. Yeah, Friday. Because I found it intriguing that it's dropping on Friday the 13th. So, but yeah. So I was toying with the idea of doing that. And then I'm also toying with the idea of maybe playing a little tiny bookshop tomorrow. We'll see how things go. But yeah, if you have opinions, let me know in the comments. But yeah, so that's been my life so far this week. And yeah, so hopefully we'll be getting a bit back to business as usual. And I will get this uploaded. And like I said, keep an eye out tomorrow for Tiny Bookshop or maybe something else. I haven't quite decided. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on live streaming Scarlet Hollow episode 5. And let me know which trait we should go for, because I have a bunch. I have a bunch of saves that I'm going to be going through. Not on live with you guys, but just let me know which traits you would like to see. So, in the meantime, hope you guys are having a great week, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow.